Hello, I'm Galen Wixson, President and CEO of the Lubbock Symphony, your host for ClefNotes, an inside look at the Lubbock Symphony Orchestra. Today we have our special guest, Chalex Boyle. She's the concert master of the Lubbock Symphony and also professor of violin at the Texas Tech University School of Music. Annie, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Galen.
Oh, it's great to have you with us. Before we get started, I want to remind our listeners that the Lubbock Symphony has one more concert coming up at the end of the season on June 7th. We'll present The Concert, the music of ABBA. And we'll have a tremendous group visiting us from Denmark to perform ABBA's greatest hits along with the Lubbock Symphony Orchestra. So please join us on June 7th at 7:30 p.m., all at Buddy Holly Hall. To get tickets, please check our website, lubbocksymphony.org, or give us a call, 806-762-1688. Annie, we want to talk today a little bit about what it's like to be a concert master of an orchestra. So my first question is, can any violinist be a concert master?
Well, I suppose we should say yes, with enough practice and enough, having the experience of playing with different orchestral groups. I've been playing with different orchestras since I was, in high school, but my first leadership experience really happened in my 20s. And since then, I've been playing with a bunch of different regional orchestras as concertmaster, principal second.
Yeah, I was around in Lubbock when we brought you on as our concertmaster after a hiatus of a period of time while you were getting your family life kind of settled for a little bit. We brought you back on, and my first impression was what a difference in sound the orchestra had with you at the helm of the group. And I want to understand a little bit and help our listeners understand, what is it about the concertmaster position that's so pivotal for an orchestra?
So concertmasters really represent the orchestra. And so I feel that I'm not as much of a leader as I am the spokesperson for all of the musicians. And so part of how I handle my position is I think of us as a team and us working as a team and bringing our strengths forward.
Is there a protocol in the orchestra for, say I'm in the back of the cello section, which is usually where I would reside. And in the back of the cello section, I have a question about an articulation and the bowing or which way my bow should be moved or the length of a rest or something like that. What's the protocol for getting that information communicated up to the music director?
This is really similar to how things work in regular business situations where if you are in the back of a section, usually you would go to the front of the section maybe during a break, maybe not in the middle of a rehearsal, and then the section leader can either answer that question or go to the conductor and get the question answered.
Right, because what we don't want is the conductor being peppered with questions from the rank and file and all over the orchestra and interrupting rehearsal and the flow of the conductor's thoughts, right?
Right, we would get nothing done.
Right.
It would just be difficult to maintain any sense of scheduling to get through the pieces.
And in a recent interview with Israel Mello, our librarian, he sort of expressed the importance of getting all the bowings sort of together before we have our first rehearsal. That is, when I say bowings, I mean we mark the parts with down bows, which is from the handle, the frog of the bow, down to the up to the tip, and the opposite direction from the tip to the frog. We have to get those markings right in the music from the very beginning. What's your role in that whole process?
Right. So part of the reason that we like to unify bowings is to have the same sound. The difference between the sound of a down bow and an up bow is huge. And so the down bow would have more gravity, so there'd be more weight.
Right. And then the up bow probably has more, I don't know, a different attack, right? A different sound.
Right. And so part of what I do is I get the pieces that we're working on for the season, and I am the first one to do the bowings for the whole string section. And so after I do bowings, then the principal second, the principal viola, principal cello, principal bass, they all look at the bowings and then make decisions. Therefore, it's sort of an efficient way to be unified with everything.
Sure. And by the time we get to that first rehearsal, we're all pretty much in agreement. I mean, sometimes, right, basses move differently than cellos, and cellos move differently than violins because of the sort of the physics of our instruments sometimes. But in general, we're all moving in the same direction. Is any of that cosmetic? Let's just say visual.
Yeah, actually, some orchestras don't unify their bowings. They let everyone just make a decision what works best for them.
Wow.
But I think it's really beautiful to work as a team, and I do think that there's something unified about making those decisions together.
Yeah. I mean, it to me, the impression that I get from the stage or from the audience is that when the group is all moving together, they seem, like you said, a team, a unified spirit moving together. And literally, if we're all moving, having our bows moving in the right direction, in the same direction, that is, we can also breathe together, right? Because there is a physical sort of setting of rhythms, and so that breathing is so important that we do it together.
Right, and if you can imagine, one person doing a wrong bowing could have huge implications. It's like one machine part being slightly out of place. And so we take pride in that. And after every concert, I always turn around to the section and I thank them. And they look at me and like, we know we've done it together. It's a team concert.
That's really awesome. I love that. And probably, I'm imagining that at the end of the concert and you've achieved this wonderful sound and the audience is enthralled, that there's some pride in that, right? And that you've done all this work together.
Yeah, there's something beautiful about it not being about the individual, but about a large number of people coming together, especially in this art form. And we're bringing music to life together. And David Cho, our director, is obviously making huge decisions for us with tempos, the speed that we're playing, the character that we're doing. But it's all of us together. And his respect for us is sort of this reciprocal relationship.
How does, as you spoke about David Cho, he's our artistic director, music director, and conductor. How do you and he work together to sort of unify the sound of the orchestra? What is your role with him?
Yeah, David and I have a really great working relationship that he can pretty much tell me anything that he wants with sound or something about whether or not we're playing notes in tune or not. And he's so specific with me that I can go, aha, and I can help the section figure out what David wants. There are also times where I know something feels slightly uncomfortable for us, and I'll go to David and say, I know we talked about this being a certain way, but would you consider having us do something slightly differently? And we work well together that way.
So have you ever worked in an orchestra where the final decision didn't lie with the music director, that he said, I'll defer to you?
I mean, that happens sometimes, but most music directors have a lot of opinions and make sweeping decisions that, it depends on the conductor. I work differently with every conductor that I'm with.
So that brings up a perfect segue to another sort of question I have is when you're working as a concertmaster from, say, one orchestra to another, do you have to change your style, how you lead, how you play?
Very much so. And so the Lubbock Symphony needs me in a different way than some of the other orchestras that I've worked with. And so it just depends on what I'm hearing behind me and what I feel needs to happen. I do feel that in the Lubbock Symphony, sometimes there's a little bit of hesitation as we go back through the section because of distance. And so a lot of times I'm breathing ever so slightly more clearly. I'll move a little bit more. I make sure that when I change a bowing that I turn around and make sure that everybody gets the message. With other groups, possibly more student-based groups, I may actually stand up and walk further back to make sure people understand things in groups that are, have played together for 30 years. I don't do much of anything. I feel that less of me is needed. So it really depends.
That's really interesting. So is there an academy or some kind of training institute, or are there places where you can learn to be a better concert master, or even be a concert master? I mean, it seems like it's more than sitting in a section and yes, you're a leader, and yes, you can give head cues, and yes, you can really kind of, with your body, do a lot of directing. Are there experts in this field that teach concert masters?
Yeah, so there are wonderful orchestras all over the world, and their concert masters generally teach at a university or at a conservatory, and that's a wonderful way. If you know you want to go into orchestral playing, you can seek out that kind of teacher. There was a really wonderful violinist that said at some point that if you want to be a great concert master, you actually have to have great skills as a soloist, great skills as a chamber musician, and know how to be in a team of people. And that art is what's so difficult, is finding people that are willing to sometimes I'll have a solo and I have to sound okay doing that. But there are other times where I absolutely need to just blend with the French horn section and just, not make any big decisions myself.
Annie, it's been such a pleasure getting to speak with you and learn more about being a concert master and a violin teacher. We just love having you in the orchestra. You're just such a great leader for us. And so please accept my appreciation for all of your hard work. This last season was amazing, and I think that a lot of that is due to your leadership. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
And for everybody listening, this is a great edition of ClefNotes on Classical 105.7. I'm Galen Wixson, President and CEO, and I'm looking forward to our next installment.